Okay. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg.
My directive is to serve you.
Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. We are playing a little bit of World of Warcraft here. Not really my idea, but you know, when you've got friends and you play games together all the time, you kind of just go with what people are interested in.
The core must be protected.
And it's fine, like I'm not against, I don't hate WoW or anything like that. I just don't tend to play it ever. We skipped the last expansion entirely. And yeah, I mean I haven't really played it since we played the expansion before that. So I only tend to play it with friends. And we don't play it for long.
Lords of the... I'm not about to leave the Isle of Dawn unexplored.
I don't know, it's just
Reputation to uphold.
I feel I don't know what the general consensus, because I think a lot of people just hate like restarting and losing everything they've gotten, but I feel like I'd really benefit if they put out World of Warcraft 2, you know.
Beds are scarce.
And they had a completely new engine, they, you know, completely redid it. And it was like
You are safe, Mayrand.
it was like as fresh
Were it not for the storm
to the gaming world as World of Warcraft was when it came out, you know.
The council's direction.
Not that it was the first MMO, but it was like, oh my god, this is magical. You know, this just sucks everybody in.
More work.
There's just too much shit in this game at this point. It's just, there's too much. They've had so many expansions, and
More work.
I mean, it's just, oh god, I can't get over just how much shit there is in this game. And they just like keep redoing things, and you know, they squish things over and over, and now it seems like they need another stat squish. Because one of my friends was playing the other night before we all decided to start playing again, and he's like, oh, I just hit this thing for 1.9 million damage. It's like, well, I thought there was a number squish, but apparently that was like ages ago. So, you know, it's just out of control. And I'm not saying that I want WoW Classic either, because I tried WoW Classic and that's too ancient. I'm saying I want a WoW 2. And even then, I'm not sure how much I'd play it. MMOs have kind of had their day in the sun, and I feel like an actual WoW 2 would probably be more of like just a live service game. Which, an MMO is a live service game. But I don't know. I feel like they would take that opportunity to double down a bit more on like their potential for microtransactions.
We do not need them. We're complete.
And the current Blizzard Entertainment is not what it once was, as we've seen. So it's hard to really say if they could put out, and that's probably their biggest fear, is that they would put out WoW 2 and it would just completely like destroy the franchise and destroy WoW, and people would just be like, eh.
You do not grasp the magnitude.
And it
of
would
her
split the
betrayal.
player base. They'd probably still want to keep WoW 1 going,
No hope for our success.
and it would be kind of a disaster. WoW 2 would really have to be stellar for it to work, and yeah. And I saw a comment that's like, well, you know, look what happened with Overwatch 2. Look how much of a disaster that was. The thing is, Overwatch 2 is not Overwatch 2. I mean, Overwatch 2 is nothing.
Here to take
there's nothing redone with Overwatch 2.
Bye for now.
More work.
Whereas what we would want from a WoW 2 is like an actual new engine and basically a whole new game. Yeah, I mean, it's a big risk at this point. I can perfectly see why they
Hail to ye.
would rather just keep spitting out expansions, knowing that people will buy. I mean, EverQuest still puts out expansions. Guild Wars 2 still puts out expansions. Final Fantasy 14, they've said, yeah, we're literally just going to keep putting out expansions for this game. That is our plan. WoW, you know, they announced that, oh, we're going to have 3 more expansions. That's all in the pipeline right now. It's interesting to note that I don't remember specifically what they said about the 3 expansions. I know that they announced them all. It's interesting that they settled on just announcing 3, whereas Final Fantasy 14 just said, like, you know, Square just said, like, yeah, we're just going to keep making expansions for this game indefinitely. I don't know if Blizzard has said the same thing. So some people, of course, speculated that the 3 expansions, the third, you know, it's going to serve as, like, the bridge to WoW 2, and they're working on WoW 2 right now.
Come on, Ebener.
Seems a little hopeful. I don't know.
The Unbound.
So, you know.
This is a waste of cycles. I will go to the quarry myself.
Obviously, the game's still profitable.
Then you'll be the first storm rider.
As soon as the game served to not be profitable, they would do something about it. So, it's still making money. It will continue to make money for a while. But yeah.
Take that, you crawling creeps. Won't get the best of me.
So this is the new thing that one of the new things they added, delves, which are solo dungeons. And you know, you get companions.
More work.
You get, I mean, I don't know how many there are or the nature of it or anything, but
Let's rescue these folks.
you get a companion.
Webs.
Let's commit our meeting to memory.
I don't know. I mean, the solo delves seem kind of cool. They're pretty quick and rewarding, and it's kind of a new form of a daily, but
Pop out if you do.
it sort of captures that dungeon feel. Anyways, that's what's going on with that.
Summon the Rubius. Won't stand in them.
I require a target.
So, this week on this channel, we had more Elden Ring, plenty of Elden Ring. That will continue for a bit. I think there's like 8 or 10 or something videos for Convergence. We also had what was it? What am I uploading? What am I doing? Oh, we had RimWorld. I have more RimWorld, but I decided to switch up for a moment. And we have solo role manging. me playing some Shadow Dark. That's mostly what I've actually been doing this week, is just
Let's keep this
recording some Shadow Dark stuff. So there's going to be another 3 videos on Lost... Well, there's 3 videos on Lost Citadel and the Scarlet Minotaur. And then I have 3 videos on another adventure titled Shadowbrook Manor.
You need to target something first.
And then right now I've been recording Hole in the Oak, for which I have 2 videos so far. So a decent amount of Shadow Dark solo. I really like the system, and yeah, I don't know.
I don't have a
The
target.
rest of our people out of here.
It's mostly just like kind of discussing it like as we go, more than an actual play experience. So I'm really doing it just to try and get better as like an OSR DM, to try and get into this mindset and get into this play style, and to understand how I should be running it. You know, getting into actually rolling for random encounters, reaction rolls, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I do plan on running Lost Citadel for some family members at some point. Shadowbrook Manor, I'm not quite as sure about. I think it's really fun, but it's also a little goofy. It's just like a haunted house in the middle of nowhere. I'd have to come up with some good hooks for it, because my players kind of demand good hooks for their adventures. So if I can come up with something... and then Hole in the Oak, I think I'd also like to run, because it's a pretty fun adventure. So that's what I've mostly been doing. And we didn't do any RPG stuff this weekend, so I really have nothing to talk about there. Over on the Exploring series, I put out a video on... Oh boy, I'm sure it'll come to me. Let me think. I'm trying to think. I really am. What the hell did I put out a video on? The Hanged King. It was the Hanged King video, wasn't it? Okay, so that was good.
Those whips will summon the Rubians. Don't stand in them.
And then I also released my video on Incantation on Wednesday. Now, when I put it out, it had no age restrictions of any kind, no copyright, nothing. I mean, it was like a perfect release. I was so happy. But then on like Friday or something like that, I noticed that it now suddenly had an age restriction due to shock values or something like that. It had material that would likely shock viewers, and thus it's not suitable for most advertisers.
I require a target.
And I appealed it, just because why wouldn't you appeal it? Everyone appeals it. And they said a manual review. It's never a manual review.
We'll move ahead. Meet us up above.
Don't kid yourself. But regardless, I understand what I did wrong. If you watch the video, specifically what they pointed out,
Fantastic.
I mean, they said that there could be other stuff not marked that applied, but they specifically pointed out the part where I showed, like, the bloody animal bones that she kind of finds while she's fleeing the village. And, like, you know, the body on the ground that I just showed. Stuff like that. Don't really want to show stuff like that. So, that's on me. I need to know better. I need to either not show stuff like that or blur it. Because I have seen other big channels doing horror movies and they blur stuff pretty frequently.
Another ambush.
So that's just a part of it. If you're watching a horror video on YouTube, you know, you probably should expect it to be blurred.
All right. New directives. You take out the Nerubian.
So it's a lesson learned. I can't say. I mean, it's not. I wish it wasn't. I wish it didn't happen. I wish that I could just show stuff. And I mean, you're telling me. Well, I guess if you think about a TV commercial, that's sort of the standard I suppose I need to maintain. Would this appear on American television at prime time as a commercial? And if I think about, like, horror trailers and stuff, yeah, they don't really show almost anything. So that's what I sort of have to go for. It's fine. And let it be an incentive, I suppose, that if you're interested in seeing the gory bits, watch the movie yourself. I encourage it. Especially if I happen to have an affiliate link in the description that you can click on and get the movie and make me money. And yeah, it does save the trouble of, like, people watching it that don't want to see any gory bits and just want to, like, experience the sort of story of the horror movie and then my narration. So yeah, it's fine. Going forward, you will never see bloody animal bones on the ground uncensored. The more slightly distressing thing, I suppose, is the overall viewership.
First.
It's not so hot
That's more like
so
it.
far.
Fantastic.
I'm not exactly sure why my SCP fans are not clicking on this stuff. I mean, I'm very, very happy with the positive feedback that I've gotten from people that are watching the videos. Really fantastic. But I just can't seem to get enough people to watch them. Let's look at our numbers currently, shall we? We like to do stuff like that. So Noroi is at 30k, and Incantation is at 15k. So Noroi is, of my last 10 videos, at number 9 as far as viewership goes, and Incantation's at number 10. So, not doing so hot. Again, I'm not really sure if it's just they're not interested in horror movies, or they like horror movies but they would rather just watch them because they're really into horror, because they're SCP fans, or the thumbnail is just so different. Maybe they don't even think that it's my video and they just don't click. I don't know what it is. All I know is that not many people are watching them. But the positive feedback is keeping me going. And I will continue to be working on these videos.
Give me a moment, champion.
Because eventually we will find an audience. If a video is good, and a video series is good, and you keep making it, people will find it. That's my core belief. It has driven my entire channel. So, the next video is going to be on Lake Mungo, I decided. This was actually suggested in my Discord I saw. I had already decided on it before I saw that. But somebody else had also recommended Incantation before, after I had already decided to do it. So, people are on the ball, to say the least. Like, Mungo is like one of my favorite kind of just films. It's not really a horror movie.
You'll find me where... Let's stock up on supplies before we head in. There's more to explore out there. And you know me, can't resist a good cave.
Work complete.
Actually, hold on. Let me type in Lake Mungo here. What does Wikipedia classify it as? Psychological horror. Really? That term seems so loaded for what Lake Mungo is. Particular focus on mental, emotional, and psychological states to frighten, disturb, or unsettle its audience. I suppose, I mean, if you're gonna put in sort of a blanket term as a genre, I suppose. I have less issue with the psychological part than the horror part. Like, it's really tough for me to declare it a horror movie, even though, of course, that's why I watched it. Initially, it was because I was told it's a horror movie. That's what Wikipedia says. It's almost more like a supernatural true crime mockumentary. You know, there's a lot of segments, you know, just like people talking to the camera, you know, as part of like a documentary kind of thing. And there are definitely some supernatural elements to it. Kind of. It's one of those movies where as you go, it's like, okay, oh, it's a supernatural movie. And then you find out, oh, wait, no, it's not. It's not a supernatural. This is all mundane. And then it's like, oh, maybe it is supernatural. That's weird. And then you're like, no, it's not. It's definitely not. And then at the end, you're like, oh, shit, it is supernatural. You know, it's one of those kind of movies where you kind of go back and forth. The writer-director said, I don't think it's a supernatural thriller. I think it's meant to be an exploration of grief. Yeah, see, that seems more in line with what I think it is. It's not really a horror movie. It's like a grief movie, you know? It's a slow build. You have to really kind of buy into the whole plot line and the characters and the format. You have to really be into the mockumentary format, which I am. That's why I love it. To me, this is like the best like mockumentary ever. Not the best documentary ever, but the best mockumentary ever. I don't know. I just really love it, and I just want to share it with people. And initially, I said I was going to do Triangle. I was going to do a movie from 2009 called Triangle, which was British. Yeah, it's a British horror film, and that one's definitely more horror. Starring Melissa George. It actually has Liam Hemsworth in it. And that is more involving, like, murder and killing people, but with sort of a time loop twist to it. Not to spoil it, but there's a time loop. And I was like, I doubt many people have seen Triangle, and I think it would be a good fit. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to show any of the murders that happened, but still, I'll be able to talk about them. And I think that would be great. And then I went to the IMDb page for Triangle, and I discovered that it has 133,000 ratings. I was shocked. I was shook. I was shook at how many ratings it has. Because if I go to, like, a major horror film. Okay, let's go to, like, the most major horror film of the last 20 years. What do we think it is? What's the most major horror film of the last 20 years? That, like, everybody saw and everybody talked about. It might be Saw, to be honest. Even my parents watched Saw, but that was on my foolhardy recommendation. I was young. I was stupid. I was like 16. It's like, you gotta watch Saw. It's high art. It might be Saw. Honestly, my mind went straight to The Conjuring. I think that's one of the biggest. If not the biggest, it's one of the biggest. That was really kind of a massive hit. Okay, so The Conjuring has 565,000 ratings. That's like, biggest of the big. Insidious, which I also would say is quite a big film. Multiple sequels, a whole franchise, big stuff. That has 343,000. So for Triangle to have 133,000, that still seems like really high. I was shocked. Because then I went to Lake Mungo. Because I was like, okay, I thought Lake Mungo and Triangle would be on similar levels of popularity. Maybe. But Lake Mungo has 31,000. So 100,000 less ratings. And I was like, okay, if I'm going for, lesser known horror films, I gotta shoot for this range, the 30,000 range. And if we go to Incantation, that actually has 22,000 because it's a non-English film, which is gonna hurt it a lot. Noroi should be a lot more well-known. It's been around for many, many years. That actually has less. What? I didn't even look at this. It has 16,000. Wow. Man, I went straight to obscurity with my first one. Fucking 16,000 for Noroi. That's wild. I thought like everybody in the horror business knew about Noroi. It's like a legend of found footage. But no, apparently not. What's another sort of obscure... What's an obscure Western found footage horror movie from the last couple decades? Creep, I would say, is slightly pretty obscure. That's at 70,000. Oh my god, Hell House is at 27,000. Fuck, I almost want to switch right now to cover Hell House. But we'll save that for October. That's a perfect October choice. How does Hell House only have 27,000? Wow. I mean, I'm learning so much now. If you want to watch an absolutely amazing found footage, like actually scary horror movie, Hell House LLC is quite excellent. I watch it every single year. Do not watch any of the sequels. Pretend they don't exist. But the original is quite good. What about Grave Encounters? 65K. Okay, I could probably do Grave Encounters as well. Man. Okay, yeah, this October we might get into some of these Western horror. What is REC at? Okay, thank God. Thank God REC is at 200K. Good. That is very good. REC is my favorite found footage horror film. And is my second favorite horror film of all time. Right behind The Witch. I imagine The Witch. That was a pretty big deal. That's got to have quite a good number of ratings. Yeah, 309,000. So it's up there with Insidious. I'd like to cover The Witch at some point, just because it is my favorite horror movie, but it's not obscure in the slightest. Hell House, though, that's really surprising. I can't believe that number is that low. Taking of Deborah Logan. That's another really good Western horror film. Found footage. That's got 42,000 ratings. Gonjiam, South Korea, 17,000 ratings. That's not that shocking because it is, again, non-English. That is a big factor. The fact that it has less than half as many as Taking of Deborah Logan, though, I like Taking of Deborah Logan quite a bit. It's got some great side characters in that film. But still. Man, yeah, there's a lot of movies I want to cover now. I just watched Ganjiam again with some buddies. They wanted, something kind of scary. And so I recommended that. And it's a good one. It's definitely a good one. It's sort of Grave Encounters-esque. I prefer Grave Encounters just because I think the characters' personalities and everything are a lot better. I think it's got that sort of like kind of the edge in the humor department amidst all the horrific stuff. But Ganjiam's really good. The Tunnel. That's really funny. Because in the Noroi video at the start, I was mentioning some other horror films. And I mentioned The Bay and The Tunnel, thinking like, oh, I'm sure plenty of horror people have seen those movies. The Tunnel has 24,000 ratings. And I think I looked at some other point, The Bay has like 30,000. Final Prayer has 11,000. And someone I saw recommended that to me to cover. And I have seen it before. It's also called Borderlands. Only 11,000 ratings. And that's an English, I mean, it's a British movie, I think, but still. Wow. The third Blair Witch movie only has 50K. I would have thought that would have been a much bigger movie. This is really interesting. The Last Exorcism only has 53K. What? What? Oh, I have to cover that. I think I have my October like printed out at this point. That's crazy. Yeah, The Bay 30K. The Bay is easily in my top 5 for probably for all horror. I just for some reason I love that movie. Man, REC 2 has 79,000 ratings. And I pretty strongly dislike that film, despite REC being my second most favorite horror movie. That's shocking it has that many compared to a lot of these that I think are just far better. Interesting. Very interesting stuff, I gotta say. Yeah, but like I said a couple of weeks ago, like I have no idea what is popular or what is well known and what isn't well known. I have a general idea. I know Insidious, Conjuring, Saw, Blair Witch Project, any of like the huge big releases of the year are probably going to be fairly highly rated and fairly well known. But yeah, obviously my barometer for a lot of these other ones completely off. Because it's just like, I don't know, in today's day and age, it's like it's all kind of just streaming. I don't really have any awareness. I guess like As Above, So Below, that has 115,000 ratings. I think I actually saw that in theaters. So maybe I would have pegged that as being somewhat popular compared to Hell House, which I didn't see in theaters. And I suppose I could say is probably not as well known. I just didn't think it was that little known. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Interesting stuff. So obviously, I'm very kind of excited about the continuation of this series and this project. So I'm glad that a lot of people are enjoying it and want me to keep doing it because I will be. Um, I guess my plan still going forward is October is going to be all horror movie stuff. That's kind of a big step. You know, October is a higher earning month for YouTube creators and stuff. There's more ad revenue coming in. The rates are higher because it's closer to the holidays. So it's a bigger month. It's iffy to kind of do such a project, but if I really want to get this at the forefront and I want this to be a thing, I need to put it out there. And I can't do 2 videos a week for a month like that will ruin my October, and I don't want to ruin my October. So I have to make a choice here, and I'm going to go with horror movies because for me October is horror movie month. Yeah. So that'll be good. That'll be good. So Lake Mungo for sure is going to be the next one. After that, possibly the Bay. And it's another one of my favorites. So we'll put that out there. I want to veer away from like the Asian sort of curse kind of horror for a moment. So I covered a couple of the big ones. I still want to do the medium and probably the Wailing as well. Those are another couple big ones that I can think of. And when I say big, I really have no idea. To me, they're kind of bigger and notable ones because they're kind of bigger budget. They're a bit more, they're newer, you know, and I've seen them all a couple times. So I think they're good, that kind of thing. I have no idea how popular they are. Yeah. Aside from that, I have a video on a new SCP-001 proposal coming out tomorrow. So there's that. It's a very emotional, touching piece, not very horrific whatsoever. And I think most people will be able to tell that based on the thumbnail. So we'll see how popular that is.
I'm out of range.
Yeah. That's kind of it. You know, I'm obviously having more. I'm having issues with the horror movie stuff, like age restriction and viewership issues, stuff like that. But I can just say that I enjoy working on it. Like, I enjoy working on it more than I am SCP at the moment. So that's part of what's driving this October choice. Is just, this is a fun thing for me to do right now, and something that I really would like to do going forward. Ideally with an editor, because I don't really enjoy that process. But the writing and all that and the talking about it, I like all that. Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about horror movies on this channel, you know, here and there since it started, really. and I watch more horror movies than any other genre. All the other genres combined, really. Like, if I'm going to sit down on an average night and watch a movie, it's probably going to be a horror movie. So, it just, yeah, it's, why wouldn't I make it part of my channel? Why wouldn't I make it my job? So we'll see. See where it all goes. I actually never heard back from DJ Cactus about that project. I don't know if he just like forgot about it, or he's too busy, or just doesn't want to. I have no idea. I got enough on my own plate with all this horror movie stuff that it's not really that big of a deal. You know, I messaged him when I was like, I'm not sure what I'm doing with this channel going forward. And this might be an option. But now, you know, I have the horror movie thing. So I'm going to certainly be working on that. If he comes back to me at some point and says, hey, let's do this, I got a script that I think is really cool, then great. I will definitely do it. But, yeah. Alright. I think that's all there is to really say. Like I said, we didn't do RPG stuff this week, and it's kind of iffy going forward when it's going to happen, which is a bummer. But anyways, more Elden Ring Convergence, more solo role manging, and SCP-001 Touching Eternity coming out tomorrow. For now, though, my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.